Okay, welcome back everyone for the afternoon part of the program, and particularly this is also the monthly gathering also today. So we'll have a Dhamma talk and a short meditation practice right now, and particularly in honor of the Father's Day. So first of all, a special recognition and appreciation to all the fathers. Yeah, right. All the fathers. We have a big father over there, Ed. Yeah, nice to have you here on the Father's Day. On the two sides, right? Yeah. So, and we can tell us, how fun to be a father.
Yeah, it was.
It was. Yeah. Yeah. So later you can share your experience, definitely. Yeah. Yes. And so I thought that, when I was thinking about a suitable, appropriate topic for the Father's Day, I was thinking about what will represent, the Father's, quality. So this is what I came out. I thought that maybe, of course, fathers have many qualities, but one quality that a father should have, maybe many fathers have, is emotional resilience. Doesn't mean that everyone may have it, but I think as a father, because you have this role, father and the mother and the children, and so when the mother and father is playing this role, uh, if I feel like always when I think about father, the image comes to me is like a tree, like a huge strong tree, that gives shelter, give a sense of protection, and the nature of the and well rooted, and we can rely on. um, and so and also the nature of the tree is like it's quite strong. Its branches may move a little bit, but it will stay firm right in the middle. Right. Not a bamboo tree, but the heavy tree. Bante, what comes to your mind when you think of the father? The tree is one image that comes to my mind.
Mother is like a wind.
Wine.
Why? No, wind.
Wind. Mother is like a wind. Mother is the wind that makes the tree shake, right?
Not shake,
Yeah,
Bram,
but yeah,
but to keep in right direction
direction.
and to shake and always uh, give the right. Uh, the father is always a little bit lazy.
Lazy. Okay. you need someone
He
to
needs some
make
always
them motivate.
motivation.
Okay, that's that's an interesting observation. Yeah. So we thought the mother father may not function well,
No.
lack of motivation.
And actually, father becomes solid and stable because of that support from the mother.
Mother, yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yes. So I thought that maybe we can talk about our fathers, maybe but before that, I thought that maybe in honor of our fathers, we try to discuss an important quality that we all had to develop in our life, which can be really useful, which of many fathers have and a father should have, is the emotional resilience. Because if the father is like the head of the family, and then he should be able to like provide guidance and direction to everyone in the family. And so if he's not emotional resilience, and it will be very difficult for him to give that direction and guidance, and he has to maintain sanity in all kind of changes happening, right? And he cannot be always influenced so much by what is happening, and he has to have that resilience. And it's not only for a father, everyone of us should have that quality, right, Bante? Yeah. So resilience is an important quality we should have, so the emotional resilience is a part of the larger quality of resilience. Bante, how do you understand resilience? Resilience.
That is why I mentioned about the mother's quality there.
Yeah.
Without understanding the influence of the mother, I think we cannot define the fathers.
Fathers, yeah.
Yeah. So it helps us to understand the resilience, because the father is not actually a solid character in the family. We believe, but no.
I mean,
Fathers no. Father
we
knows.
say
Yeah.
it's the head of the family, but the actual head is not the father.
No.
Finally, a man that knows.
That because actually he's very easily shakeable. He is not in always, we used to think, but he's not in the right direction. That's why mother is giving some influences all the time. Because the mother is more sensitive for with regard the kids and their security and their concerns, their health and education and all of
Yeah.
issues. So I think that is why she's always shaking
Shaking.
and giving some motivation.
Yeah.
I think with that influence, if the father is not giving up the whatever the responsibilities, that is the resilience.
Not giving up, right?
Not giving up. Because
Yeah.
it is not easy to
Maintain, right?
maintain
Yeah.
the unshakable type of deliverance.
Yeah. I think, thank you, Bante. Not giving up is a very important way to understand resilience. It's not necessarily unshakable, right? So, I mean, everyone is shaking, everyone is emotionally agitated. It's not really staying unshakable forever. It's actually shaking, but I think coming back. In the very word of resilience, actually come from Greek word resilio, which means bounce back. Bounce back. So not giving up, right? So, and you may be shaky, but always come to the middle. So that's the resilience. So when you think about emotional resilience, it doesn't mean that we are going to be emotionless. We're going to be like never get angry. We are never get sad. That's not how it's going to happen. We will have those emotional moments, but how fast we can bounce back. And that's the important in our emotional life resilience. When I'm listening to you, Bante, you said that the real head in the family is not really the father. Yesterday I was attending a conference, and so in the conference they were talking about masculinity. Actually, one American scholar is doing a research about Polonnaru period in Sri Lanka, and he was very interested in Leelavati. There was a queen called Leelavati in Sri Lanka in the 1200s. Anyway, so he's studying about this, queen in Sri Lanka, studying all the inscriptions and manuscripts, palm leaves manuscripts and everything. Anyway, so when he talk about masculinity, and but one comments came from another professor is that although we tend to think that masculinity is the power, and kings rule the country, and the female were only consorts, they were like simply in the back. But she has enough evidence from Southeast Asian countries like Thailand and Burma. Actually, although king is in the front seat, it is the consorts that ran who actually control the country. They make the trades. They own the ships. They make the they are the one who made treaties with others. So actually, it's the female who ran the show. So the masculinity is only a label. I don't know about Sri Lanka, but so I just remember
Actually,
that.
it's even today, even in a very nutshell, in the families, all the fathers will agree with us. That is the power of the.
They say the father's the head, but the mother's the neck.
Nick.
That's why. That's why.
Yes. Anyway, so we'll go back to fathers, at the end, but now let's come to this quality of emotional.
The influence of the father's figure is different for us, for the kids.
Exactly.
Yeah. That's something else. But
the
their
relationship
is completely different.
Yeah,
But
exactly.
the influence of their behavior for the kids is different. We can recognize differently the father's
Different
figure,
roles.
a different role and different responsibilities, and we grow with that influence. Actually.
Yeah, exactly.
So we can understand something different from the father's figure.
Yeah. So one thing we will learn from our early childhood and even later from father, one lesson that we can learn from fathers is emotional resilience. How they can be, they can handle their own emotions. Yeah. But anyways, it's not only limited to fathers. Today let's talk about our own emotional resilience. And this is also part of what we call emotional intelligence or EQ. Like emotional intelligence is a larger concept, our ability to recognize our own emotions, our ability to cope with our emotional agitations, and also our ability to sense others' emotions and manage, or help others to manage their emotions. So it's like a larger skill, a set of skills, what we call emotional intelligence. How we can use the energy of emotion. Every emotion has an energy. Even it's anger, it has a sort of energy, sort of we can call it energy. Yes, and how you can harness that, even how even you can use the energy of a negative emotion for our own well-being. So that's what you call emotional intelligence. Yeah, but today we talk about this, the emotional resilience, which can be part of the larger concept of emotional intelligence. But anyway, so it's our ability to bounce back. Particularly, we may encounter in our life many emotionally disturbing events. Our life, when we go through our life, we encounter stressful situations. We encounter unexpected situations, and we encounter very unpleasant, unpleasant encounters with others, right? And so when those things happen, definitely we will experience different kinds of emotion and different emotional agitations. So it could be like a deeply active form of emotional agitation, like being angry, being frustrated, and it could be very low energy form of emotional agitation, which is like feeling depressed and sad. So and so what we can do, how we can develop this ability to be resilient, or maybe how we can deal with our emotions, how we can actually manage those emotions and always bounce back. That's the the important question that we should ask. And as I say, sometime how fast we can come back is also the part of the emotional resilience. Yeah, and how long we can be affected from that emotionally agitated situation. And it could be maybe we had a very big argument with someone, right? So and we experience a lot of emotions there, right? And a lot of agitation there, and then after that, how long it will take for us to come to our, to manage our own emotions and settle ourselves, and then willing to go back and talk to the same person now with a different understanding. How long it will take, right? For some, it will take longer. Some it will take a little bit. Some will not. Will never talk again, right? Yeah. So, but I think it will be really, really useful if we can develop this ability, because uh, the our satisfaction, our happiness in our life is largely based on this our ability to manage our emotions, and definitely, and also this resilience, our ability to bounce back. And if we learn these techniques, and we'll have a happier life. And also, the other reason, Bhante, I selected this topic is actually the one important qualities of leaders. The managers and leaders. And if you really want to be a leader or manager, and the emotional resilience is a very important quality. And of course, the um, help understanding other emotions also part of that. If someone doesn't have emotional intelligence or emotional resilience, and he will never be able to lead others, because emotional resilience is about being like the ability to lead oneself. If you cannot lead ourselves, how you can lead others? Right? That's the point here. So if you want to, like a father, but if you really want to lead this family, lead the children with different interests and lead the whole family, maybe lead the extended family, and that person had to have this emotional resilience, because he should be able to lead oneself first, and then he has the ability to lead others. And actually, they have, I mean, in the field of psychology, social psychology, they have done number of studies, researchers, and because they have found, the Daniel Goleman, well-known psychologist who wrote about emotional intelligence, and he did a collaborative research with, Harvard University, seeing that, taking like people with very high IQ power, people who can solve problems very quickly, people grasp things very quickly, and very, very highly intellectual power. So IQ power, and then also people with the high EQ power, emotional quotients, like emotional intelligence power. And what they have found actually, students who are doing really well in their schools because of the IQ power, high school they pass in high and even college, but when they start the actual work, they have found that actually the people who have gone to the level of management and have become very successful in the business world are not necessarily people who has high IQ power, because people who have with high IQ power will be able to come up with solutions, everything, but if they don't have ability to manage their emotions, if they don't have ability to sense others' emotions, if they don't know deal with the emotions, and they cannot even be a good team player. And so sometimes having this very high IQ power can be disturbing also, because he will not be able to work with others because he want to go ahead, but others are behind, and how you can actually find a way to develop the interest and lead others. So when it comes to leadership, Actually, it is the people with EQ, or maybe in EQ powers who can actually progress and be successful in their life, and not necessarily people with high IQ power. So ultimately, when it comes to, of course, that is in the business world, but when you think about our own family life, in our personal life, I think the ability to deal with emotion is such a great skill, but for some reason, our educational system does not provide, that skill. And all the education is geared to like develop more knowledge, and maybe more IQ. Not necessarily. I think IQ cannot be taught. That's the other big difference between IQ and EQ, right? IQ is that, I mean, you're born with an intelligence, but maybe you can harness it, right? Of course, we have educationists here. Can IQ be taught?
I don't think it can be taught, but it can be developed and improved.
Improved, by giving the appropriate condition, right? Yeah. And but the most important ability for us to live a happy life, have a good family life and be a good leader, is this the ability to deal with one's own emotion and then also empathize with others' emotions. But how to deal with this is not taught. That's such a big missing piece. I think that, Bante, that is why we are here. to fill that to fill that gap, right?
And also, we
Yeah.
already feel somewhat,
Yeah.
from Natrona Heights to here. It's a big journey
Big journey,
because of the emotional intelligence.
yeah. Yes. Yeah. So I think, so as as practitioners, I think we should learn, from the life of the Buddha, from the enlightened other disciples of the Buddha, and how they dealt with their emotions, and then how we can manage our emotion. Whether you want to be a leader or not, that's up to you. But whether you want to live a peaceful life, whether you want to be a good father, good mother, good family member, and maybe a good friend, we really need this ability of emotional resilience, because emotions are quite blind, right? Whenever we are going through an emotion, we don't really see the actual picture. It really blurred, it really screwed the reality. Anger will screw the reality, and it only show us all the negative thing. And the sadness will also screw the reality. It will only show us the negative aspect. And even like attachment and extreme desire also screw the actual reality to only show the pleasant part of it. So it's very important that we develop this quality. So I would like to discuss few methods with techniques we can use to develop this emotional ability. There are a number of discourses of the Buddha where Buddha talks about emotions, and particularly how to manage negative emotions. Yeah. And then so I'm just trying to like summarize some of the thing. So one, of course, the basis, one very important basic ability that can help us to manage our emotions and develop emotional resilience, and also to many others, is the practice that we all try to develop, and that is mindfulness. We can call it maybe when it comes to emotional resilience, our ability to be self-aware, our ability to be aware of our own emotions, and always being aware that if you are in agitated state, just you know just be aware that I'm in agitated state. Just be aware that and that ability to like notice, ability to notice that that little bit of energy, because emotions are always different kinds of energy. It's not a normal state. It's like going beyond our normal state of being. So the important practice is to we call it mindfulness. Sometimes we also call it presence. Maybe being in the present, or be aware of our own emotions. It's also a way of being friendly, so to speak. But just be aware that I always try to develop this self-awareness, because we are quite sensitive to others' emotions. We can easily say that if someone is not happy, you know, someone is little irritating, you can very easily you can see their facial expressions, and we can even notice the change of the tone of their speech.
Especially when I'm driving.
Right. Yeah, I think driving is a good good a good time that we experience a lot of kind of emotions, right? Yeah. Recently, one of our friends said that I am a very good practitioner except when I'm driving. Yeah. But being just being aware of our like becoming like self-aware, and we are, as I said, that we are very skillful in recognizing others' emotions. Even we can notice the change of the tone of the other, the speech of the other person. We can ask, we can when we ask questions, did you like it? Sometimes they say yes, but you can notice from the tone that they say yes, whether they really liked it or not, right? So when you say yes, there are a lot of nuances to that yes answer. There are a lot of grades of how much they like it. We can say it from the observing the tone of the word, right? So in that way, we are very skillful in sensing others' emotions, in most of the cases, particular negative emotions. But somehow we haven't developed the same skill set to recognize our own emotions. We are not really self-aware that when we are going through emotions, but we thought knowing we are influenced, we are influenced by them, and then we act out of them even without realizing that I'm going through this emotion. So the important practice is to develop this ability to self-aware. uh, as you know, I remember the Bhante Punna was emphasizing the four foundations of mindfulness, right, Bhante? Like
Still, I do.
still do, yeah. Satipatthana practice, encouraging people focus on this mindfulness practice. So we have four foundations of mindfulness, four areas we have to maintain our awareness. One is,
Actually, after 2.5 years, what I realized about this practicing four foundations, actually, the it the emotions you can recognize that those are, as you mentioned, those are kind of poor type of very easily shakable, back and forth and different shapes in our
mind.
expressions and mind. And but if you practice mindfulness on all of those emotions, you realize that you can cultivate your emotions up to a certain level of quality,
You can transform
transform.
even the negative emotion.
Yeah, that's why I give it up, encouraging the people to practice four foundations of mind,
Mindfulness, yeah.
because it is not it is not an easy task for the human mind.
Takes a lot of courage and a lot of
A lot of courage and a lot of practice, and also in a certain level of our practice, actually, uh, we have to when we are jumping up onto the quality level of our emotions, actually it is very hard to understand the quality as a quality. I mean, think about the loving kindness. We easily talk about the loving kindness, but what is the exactly loving kindness?
yeah.
Where can we put this kind of
Apply.
word apply in our day-to-day life? So it's very tricky. That's why actually mindfulness helps us to recognize the emotions and also uplift our emotions to a quality level.
Yeah, exactly. So for foundation of mindfulness, we develop mindfulness of our body, we develop mindfulness of our sensations, we develop a mindfulness of our moods, like different moods, and then we also develop mindfulness on different thoughts or maybe different mental states, right? Mental phenomena and emotions are part of that, right? So just I think when I teach children, Harindam, that I use always help them to talk about the emotions using the terms of the weather, like, and of course we can have different kinds of weather conditions, right? And we can have a sunny weather, right? We can have drizzling weather, we can have cloudy weather, right? We can have rain, we can have heavy rain, we can have a storm, we can have thunderstorm, right? Yeah. So I asked children, okay, let's say you had the plan to go out to the park, and last minute your parents change your plan, and then I asked, okay, then what is the analogy? He said heavy rain. Then I asked, okay, I asked about, okay, you went for a football game and your team defeated. I asked what is thunderstorm. So they can use this terminology like to self-recognize the state of the mind. So I think as adults, we also should do that. Okay, from time to time, ask, what is my internal weather? Right? What is my internal weather? Just be aware. It's okay. Weather can be any type. As long as you don't harm others. In a thunderstorm case, you will hurt and harm others. But as long as you don't hurt others, it's how we feel. So ask that question: what is my internal weather? And be aware of that. That develop this self-awareness, and that's the beginning. That's the first step of our ability to be resilient, ability to manage our emotions. And of course, once we develop this ability to be self-aware, like knowing that, oh, okay, I'm frustrated, I'm angry, I'm sad, I feel depressed. So just be aware of that. Okay, this is what is happening right now. That very awareness, actually, the very awareness gives us some ability to although we are going through that emotion, is still that emotion is kind of affecting us, but we will not do foolish things because that awareness. I mean, always the example I give, you may have heard it many times. It's like uh, let's say you go out in one day, you go to the park one day, and you realize that it's going to, like, it's cloudy, it's gloomy, everything is kind of dark, and then soon you realize that actually I'm wearing glasses, sunglasses. So the reason that you feel everything's dark is actually you're wearing sunglasses, right? It's not something is outside by wearing sunglasses. And now you still see the things in the same way. You still see the things as cloudy, as dark, but you know that it is because of the glasses that you're having. So you don't get panic. You don't do foolish things because you know that you see this thing because of these glasses. So in the same way, if you realize that I'm angry, I'm this, and then when you realize that, okay, and that realization will not simply remove your anger right away, but definitely it will reduce the the energy power. But you will not do foolish things because you are aware that, okay, I'm not in good state, I'm not in a balanced state. Let me delay my response. Let me delay my talk to that person. Let me delay my response. A person is asking questions, and when you realize that you are not in the best place, and you can say, okay, I will come to that later, right? You can tell them, okay, I will give a reply later, because if you try to reply right there, you will not be able to express yourself well. You will not give the best answer, and you will make things worse. So the self-awareness is important, and that's being aware that always checking the internal weather, always checking, and then and act based on that. Based on that knowledge, you try to act. You try to like not to act. Even when you act, you try to be very, very careful how you say things, how you do things, and don't. And even like we realize that you're too excited, too excited, and too like you decide so strong, and you become aware that okay, this is also not a wholesome state. Although it's like maybe not as heavy as anger. Don't make a decision right there. You may buy so many, unwanted things, when you're when you're emotionally, and like, excited, and don't make decisions. Okay, I really like this. Somehow, some advertisement, the people who make advertisement, they are just very good psychologists, and they know how to hook your mind, and they know how to like really, take your mind, and you have been hooked, and you get so excited, and this is the best thing in the world, whatever, but don't make a decision. Okay, let me think. I mean, you don't hit the buy button, you don't really make the purchase, okay, let me wait for a few hours, maybe a day or two, and you come back and ask them, do I really need it, and it's really necessary, you can, so in that way, just being aware of our own emotion, just being self-aware, is giving us such ability to like make the best decision. And of course, the related the awareness is actually acceptance. That's the other part. Acceptance means that sometimes we think that sometimes we are too judgmental about ourselves, and if you don't add the element of acceptance to the being self-aware, you'll become really a self-judging person and self-blaming person. Because when you become aware, oh, okay, I'm angry right now, and then next one you say, I'm always like that. I'm such a, I'm nasty person. Why is this happening? And you're making all this, self-blame and judgments yourself. Or when you when you like feel like, I'm sad or disappointed, and the next one you say that you start to blame yourself. I'm such a negative person. Always, only think about the bad things. I'm such a bad person. So it's going to be very, very unhealthy if you only have the self-awareness, but not the self-acceptance. Acceptance means actually, as human beings, we have to develop this, attitude of acceptance. Is okay. It's okay to feel sad. It's okay to feel angry. It's all okay to feel excited or desire. I mean, very passionate about something. But the only thing is that there's a limit to it. If it happens very frequently. It happens in high energy. What you call and what is really wrong is that if you're going to act out of it, and then if it's really coming to you very often and with a very strong force, then there can be problematic. Otherwise, as ordinary human beings, it's okay. So we have to develop that level of acceptance, and also some kind of forgiveness. It's like I'm an ordinary human being. Of course, my goal is to go beyond the limitations, but it's okay, and that acceptance is very important. And also, it's also related to the deep understanding in the Buddhist understanding of non-self, because in the whole reason that we blame ourselves is that we can't assume that there's like a permanent agent. There's like a sovereign self right inside of me who can do anything that he wants, and now he's not doing the right job. Right? That's why we blame ourselves. I'm not supposed to get angry, but I'm getting angry now. As we imagine that as if we have such free, such sovereign power. We don't have such a kind of sovereign self inside of ourselves. And everything is, of course, we know the five aggregates. We have the intention, we have the volitional power, we can decide, but it's a whole process. So the element of acceptance coming from the Buddhist understanding of what you call non-self. Doesn't mean that there's no self, but to understand this, fragile and this fluid nature of the self. It's moving, it's shifting. There's no sovereign core inside who can decide. In other words, there's no CEO in us. There are all there are different managers. We have 5 aggregates. Right? It's like a work of 5 managers working together. Most of the time in harmony, but sometimes in disagreement. So our operation is like a commonwealth. I mean, not commonwealth. What do you call it?
Committee.
By committee. Yeah, by committee. Yeah, we assumed that there's a CEO, but but one committee member can become a CEO at one time, but the next moment another person will take the position. Yeah, there's no permanent CEO. Yeah. Anyway, so the acceptance part is also important. Developing this acceptance. Okay, I'm feeling this right now. This is how things, but you accept it, you have some sense of acceptance and forgiveness, and then we shouldn't stop there. And then you can make a determination, you can make a decision. Okay, this is not the healthy way of doing things. Let me act differently. First the acceptance, and then willingness to change and willingness to do something. So that's the other one. So the other important quality that that can help us here is actually the flexibility and also adaptability. Most of the time we are emotionally agitated because we have a very strong view of doing things. And we have very we can say narrow, but maybe we have fixed vision of something. We have fixed expectation of someone or something, and most of the time those fixed expectations do not meet. And then we get emotionally agitated. But if you have the ability, okay, you have some expectations, some kind of vision when you meet someone, when you plan something, but you are willing to be flexible. But as a father, right? As anyone, even as a father, when a father comes home and on the way he thinks that okay, I want to bring children to that place, and you already plan things, arrange everything, and you come home and you want to bring children to a museum, and then when you come home they are already getting ready to go to see zoo. They want to go to zoo and you want to bring them to museum. Right? And of course, we can argue and bring them to museum, but let's say, but if we have the ability to be flexible, be adaptable, okay, maybe negotiate, and that will help us to be emotionally resilient. And sometimes our expectations, may not necessarily work, but so I mean, we have to think actually, there are more than one way to do things. We may be comfortable in doing one way, but it's always important to remember there are more ways to do things. So therefore, if other person, the other colleague, is asking some different way, maybe the mother is always suggesting different ways to do things. Yeah, and then if we can be flexible to it,
By understanding.
Yeah, mutual agreement, yeah. So I think our emotional health will be very good if you can, if you have some room to change, and then be a little bit flexible. Yeah, and that's very important. And I believe in that, there are more than one way to do things. And sometime, when I had, as a monk who was trained in Sri Lanka, and when we come here, when you want to do any event or anything, and our friends and people come and make all kind of different suggestions. Doesn't make sense to me. All right. So I have a certain vision and a certain way of doing things, but I also believe that there are more than one way to do things. So if the final result is the same, I'm willing to like be flexible, right? Okay, let's see, whether this method is working. So allowing that is making myself emotionally settle and less agitated, right? So yeah, there are a number of other things actually, I think, but few things would be actually sometime, of course, it's also very important to have a support system, means like the connection. For our emotional resilience, these skills may not be something that we can develop by ourselves. We need a network of friends, and particularly associated with teachers. So it's important to have some kind of social support to like grow these qualities. So the one important factor to develop emotional resilience is having co-practitioners around us, and who can share the experience one another, and have a teacher or teachers. We can report our failures and weaknesses and get the guidance. So don't think that this is something that you have to like somehow try by myself and try to do it somehow by myself. We have to be humble and be honest and willing to like admit the failures, and then but get the support. That's the other important thing. And so one other thing I would say, that actually when we want to when we live our life, most of the time, Bante, we always fulfill responsibilities. We have certain roles, responsibilities, and duties, so we just keep fulfilling those things. But I think when we are doing these things, it's really also important to have some some time, maybe some small things that we can do to like to be joyful, some simple act, because we have forgotten the joy most of the time. We are too much focused on the responsibility and work and do things right, and sometimes do things on time, which is a good thing. But we are a little bit flexible on that. But we have forgotten to do like little bit joyful things. We think that the funny things are like not very important, not doing anything. So it's also important to think about some include some joyful acts that you do at home. I don't know what really bring you joy. Like gardening. You know. Maybe some hobby. It's some kind of things that bring joy. Maybe drawing. And even hiking. Going out. And do, of course, not going to a bar, but other things, yeah. And knitting something, knitting, whatever, makes you joyful, and it's also very important. Music, sometimes, yeah. Those we have to make sure that maybe cooking, yeah, yeah. I can, for some people it could be like something that satisfy, and you cook something, and you see how other people enjoy your cooking, it brings such a joy. So why not we do these things, right? I mean, you don't have to like cook all the time, but you don't have to put a lot of it, but whenever you get a chance, just prepare something and share with your neighbor, and bring to temple. And then do these little things. I mean, we think that these are very insignificant, like not much use, it's not productive, but actually those simple acts of joy, the joyful acts, are so important in helping us to maintain our mental health and maintaining our emotional well-being. Yeah. So those are the the things that I like to share with you today. And I appreciate people who are joining our YouTube. Really appreciate, and maybe you can also use the chat option to like ask questions and maybe share your experience in the chat section. Okay, so I would like to open the discussion. What do you think about this ability of emotional resilience? Anyone like to share their experience?
Before Bante, the experience, I just want to ask a question. So You
Yeah.
said this, the resilient is a bounce back, right?
Bouncing back. Yeah.
Yeah, so, I mean, as I start, like, if you want to start the emotion, right? Emotion, it's okay to have the emotion, right? In its initial state, right?
Yeah.
Because, then you
Sometimes we don't control. Those
You
comes.
can-
Uninvited they comes.
when they comes, right? Best example, like she mentioned, is the driving, right? Exactly. So it comes, right?
Yeah.
It's always, we are not thinking, but it's gonna come, right?
Yeah.
But so, like you said, it's going to go through that process, right? Until you understand it comes, right? That realization is happening
Yeah.
in the batteries, right?
In the practice, yeah. In the practice, I think what you're asking that how you can actually become aware when you're angry. It
Exactly.
doesn't happen automatically.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. So that happens. That ability to be aware when you are going through, emotion comes when you practice mindfulness on a separate time. When you're not emotional agitated, like you practice mindfulness in meditation. You develop this ability to be aware of your subtle sensation, and you become aware of your thoughts that are this. I mean, when you're focusing on the breath, a thought comes, you remember something, you become aware of it, and you come back to the breath. That the very practice becoming aware of that thought rather than following that thought and dropping it, coming back to the breath. That's the training. That's the training you are doing. Once you do it very often, then when you are driving, when you become angry, you become aware of that because you have developed that skill in advance. Yeah, exactly. We have to develop this skill in advance
So,
to apply that. Yeah, but very application will also increase the skill. But you're correct. You have to practice it separately.
For me, it's always, I recognize it. I'm feeling this emotion, allow myself to feel it, and then let it flow through me and pass. That's what helps.
Without feeding it, right?
Well,
So that's an important.
Feeling the initial part of it.
Yeah.
Recognizing, okay, I'm angry, allowing myself to feel it, and
Exactly.
then not acting upon it,
Yes.
but letting it flow through me,
Yeah.
and then recognizing that's behind me now. It's okay. It's okay that I felt that, but then I recognize. So then the next time I feel it, I can recognize it again and be like,
Like moving through a vehicle, right? Not moving through billboards. Yeah, not paying too much attention. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. Yes, Jyoti. Yeah.
I was just gonna say, a lot of my negative emotions that I had to learn were caused by misconceptions and misperceptions of what the other person was saying, or what they meant, or why they were acting a certain way. So I've
Okay.
learned to ask myself the question, are you sure, before you react?
Exactly. Yeah. Okay. Reevaluating our own, perceptions, right? Yeah.
Right, like somebody might give you you think someone gives you a dirty look. You're like, well, they just gave me a dirty look, but what you don't realize is that they just stepped on a rock and hurt their foot.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's an oversimplification,
Yeah.
but you don't know,
But they are going through it.
right, where somebody might say something in a certain tone and you think that they're mad at you. That's not the case, it's just the way they talk, or something like that. And I've learned to try to appreciate the other person before I think I know what they're talking about or why they're doing something.
Thank you. Yeah.
I think what helps me not get angry at somebody else is looking at them as they're suffering also. They're in a state of suffering and you don't know what they're going through exactly.
Yep.
And so that state of suffering, if you realize that you're not walking a mile in their shoes, you don't know, so you can't judge. And so to dial yourself back a little bit, before you jump to a conclusion.
Exactly. Yeah, actually, when you talk about emotional intelligence, it's also like more than emotional resilience, but ability to understand others' emotions. Yeah, particularly when people express, we are not very good at expressing our real needs. And when someone is shouting, someone is complaining, someone is speaking rough words, they try to communicate, they try to express some need that is not met in them. But we are not clever in communicating well. we express the frustration. We express, but if we are skillful listening, not to the outward, the expression, but the inside need that he want to, he's yearning for, that can help us to be more compassionate.
Impermanence helps a lot too, realizing that your anger, your sadness is not going to last forever. Before never had the concept of impermanence, and I would hold on to emotions for no reason.
Yeah.
And then also realizing how to speed up that impermanence just by breathing, concentrating on your breath. Helps a lot.
That's a good point, Jyoti, because emotions have their own life, so to speak. Because different emotional state, not like simply getting angry, occasionally irritated, but thinking about like when you're going through like a main life events, like somebody, I mean, you lose someone, someone passed away. Okay, so then how you feel about it, right? So it has. I'm sorry, I'm just
No, it's
thinking about it. Yeah. So then that emotion, let's say in this case, grief, it has its own life, so to speak, and you have to go through it until it gets it lifespan. It's kind of you will see the waning of the power, and then but meanwhile, if you are aware that okay, this is really hard, but I know that it's not going to be there forever. I'm not going to feel that way forever, and just knowing that gives you some strength and courage. Okay, I will be with it for a few days, and not few days, sometime few months. But the awareness is impermanent is very important. Like about a year ago, one parent called me and told me about his son who is in the college. Had a relationship, and then they broke up, and he's not the one who initiated the breakup. And now he's really frustrated, and not frustrated but deeply sad, and he's not feeling like studying anymore. And so I had that so, and then so the mother asked me to like help. So when I was talking to this young guy, one thing I emphasized to him is actually, okay, you are really going through a real rough time right now. It's so heavy, so difficult. You don't have any motivation and interest to do anything. But remember that this has its own life. This state, the way you feel. You're not going to feel this way forever, and this is going to change how you feel it. I told him that just explore. Don't deny this. Don't try to get rid of it. Just be with it, but don't feed it. Don't try to bring more memories, but feed it. I told him that just like now you are traveling through a different landscape. Maybe like a rough landscape in your own life, on your own mind. It's difficult to move through, but you will pass this. Just remember that there's not much things to do right now. Just to be with it. That's all you got to do, right? No way to fix it. The other person is not willing, it's gone. But that you have to be with that emotion for some time. But knowing that it's going to be over sooner or later, it gives us the strength to be with it. So of course that happens about 2 years ago. And when I recently called that mother and asked him how your son is. Oh, and I said, forgot all about it now. But during that time, that was the biggest thing in his life. He was ready to give up the college and all kind of things. But now he has forgotten all about it, and then he's moving through. But sometimes he may, if he had taken decisions at that time, it will be really devastating. But educating him that this is not going to be there forever, and this simply state of the mind, and that is helping. Okay, we have a comment or question in our chat box. Can someone read? Maybe Harindu? Maybe you have good eyesight. Can you go closer and read that? I think Adrian, thank you, Adrian, for your comment. So our Harindu is going to read that for us.
He says, I appreciate hearing about the anecdote of allowing for joy. I've been living under some circumstances over the past few years that have required deep emotional resilience and flexibility. And I finally have grasped the understanding of how, with a teacher, joy can be alongside of suffering. I now aim to live joy forward in spite of ongoing challenges. This grants me more space to love and take care of those I am charged with taking care of, and that also includes myself.
Great, right? Yeah. Thank you. Thank you very much, Adrian, for sharing that. I think it's very encouraging for all of us here. Like, how we can so joy forward, right? So in our life, we may we may have like to do many things and accept a lot of challenges, but I think try to find some moments of joy in that, in those difficult situations, like even like a momentary joy. It's giving us a little more energy to move forward. Yeah, thank you, Adrian, for joining. And then maybe take more photos. I know that you are such a great photographer. So take more photos and send us. But of course, we will chant and wishing you strength and courage. More strength and courage to take care. Your family. Yeah. Yes.
When you're going through that, it's hard to see that it's ever going to end. And it just seems like, until you finally get to the end. Even if you try everything you can to be joyful.
Yeah. Maybe, but right now we develop this, this understanding that, things are changing. So when we are going through it, you feel like it's very strong, very solid. But maybe, remind yourself, okay, this sounds very real, very powerful. But, there's a truth of impermanence, this shouldn't be, cannot be exception. This is going to change. Yeah. Having that awareness. Okay. Let's think about, let's come to think about our fathers actually now, coming back to fathers again. And I like to hear from you, of course, fathers are important figures in our life. In our case, so for monks, we have a biological father, but we lived with our biological father only for a short period of time. Then we have another father, that is a monastic master. So we have two fathers, right? And so, like for you also, maybe somebody may not be the biological father, but maybe in addition to biological father, you may have some other father figure. But I think those people are very influential, very powerful in our life, and and of course we need to understand that not everyone is perfect, but we had to be very grateful for whatever risk they took for us, whatever dedication they had done for us. So I think we can think about them today. Just feel grateful for that. So I mean, in my case, I think even my father allowing me to become a monk. Because I was the eldest in the family, and then he has a lot of hopes on me, thinking that I will take care of his property. I mean, he has paddy fields and not really other property, and I will, he was also influential figure in our extended family, and he thought that I will, replace him. And he's also like playing some leadership role in the village, so he had hopes that I will somehow replace. I mean, I will be like him. And then so he had that hopes on me. But when I really insisted that I want to become a monk, and before my mom, he let go of his expectations, and he was willing to. I mean, he gave his willingness, and he kind of, respected my desires, my goals, than his own expectations of me. So that itself is a great sacrifice on his part. I mean, of course, now, I mean, unfortunately, he passed away, actually, exactly 10 years ago in this month. But of course, when I became a monk right now, he's happy. But those days, they have no idea what I will become, right? And they just have to, let this, child, 10 years old go away from home, and, you don't know who he will become, so, yeah.
So, whose idea is it? Your own idea? Or
Yes, I think I had a grand uncle, my mother's uncle, and he's a school principal. And after his retirement, he became very religious, and I was influenced by him, and I like the way he live his life. And then whenever I go to temple, I like the clean and neat nature of the temple, like a peaceful atmosphere. When I come home, it's like a very cluttered. That's what I felt. So I feel like I feel at home in temple and not at home. So and then and I feel like I don't like stay home. So I kept asking my mom. They didn't like it. I had to take some time. So, of course, the Bhante Punna has more interesting story on that, how he get permission from his parents, yeah. But I think your father was supporting, right, Bhante? Your father was supportive of
And
it.
also, you said that we have two different
Fathers.
fathers in our life, but in my life, my teachers are more silent.
Yeah,
But my father always he was like a
like a teacher.
master.
Yeah.
He
Yeah.
did not give me love,
He-
but
he-
he gave me
Instruction.
instructions and very straightforward and pushing me to the direction.
Yeah. In my case, after I became a monk, my father, come and visit me, but he has no role in training me. My masters did that. But in your case, actually, your father was quite interested in your own learning and studying and training, right?
And also he always asked me to, what I'm doing, being a monk, what I do. After he encouraged me to
Become a monk. But after
that he is asking what I'm doing, being a monk. So I thought that he was having a pre-plan with regard to my life. That's why he was asking. Slowly
some
I understood
expectations.
what are the expectations of his life.
Yeah. So so I'm so grateful in first place that my father gave up his dreams of me and they allowing me to become a monk. And of course, my master, he was the one who shaped me. If he did not encourage me to study English, that just give you one simple example. And he really pushed me to study English. I was so lazy. But, if he didn't encourage me to speak English, I will not be in Pittsburgh Buddhist Center. Very simple fact. Because he encouraged that, and so it was not common during the time that I was, studying, but now it's quite common. Yeah. So I mean,
Bhante's master.
yeah.
Thank you, Bhante's
Master, yeah. Sometime when people in Sri Lanka, when they complain that I don't stay in Sri Lanka, I always traveling overseas, and when my master is going through some issues that so I told him that don't blame me, it's your fault. Yes. Maybe so I would like to hear from you. Do you have any good fond memories of your father? Let's talk about it today and we feel grateful. So later we can do gratitude meditation. Anyone like to share their thoughts about your father? Yes, Upeka first.
I can say this, my father lived till 98, and I honestly can say this, I never heard him say an unkind word. And that, just being with him,
Mm.
made a big difference in my life.
Right. Just being with him, learning from his life, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, you are very blessed. Yeah.
I know.
Was he hardworking to like
He
stress the
was
family?
hardworking. He was an electrician who worked for the power plant, and he climbed poles and
Mm.
did
Fixed
things with wires up there. And
Yeah.
one day, he worked with a team of men, and one of his co-workers became electrocuted on the top of a pole. And my dad climbed up and put him on his back and carried him down. And he also saved somebody else's life once. He just exuded kindness in everything he did, everything. And everyone loved him. Everyone loved him. He was really a unique and very special person. So I think the gifts he gave me were acceptance. He was really patient with me, my sister, and my brother, and allowed us to develop and become whatever kind of person we were going to be. And even today, you know, he died in 2000, so that's 23 years ago. But I still have deep emotional feelings when I think of him, and I think of him often.
Thank you for sharing that. You know. Nancy, you know, you're going to share something. I remember that, you know, your father brought you a trip through a
Yeah.
boat, right? Yeah.
Well, back in the 60s, my parents got divorced.
Mhm.
And my father was the first man in the state of Indiana to get custody of his children, my
Oh.
sister and I. So even though I wanted my mommy, I grew up with my dad. He remarried, and then, yeah, he bought a boat and we sailed down the West Coast to and through the Panama Canal. So I did go to 7th grade. So
You were in the boat
yeah, on the
instead
boat.
of in the school.
Yeah.
Exactly. We had our books from school, and we had our English lesson was writing letters, and I'm a terrible speller. Yeah, I think my dad taught me not to be afraid to do something unusual.
Mm. That's why you study Tibetan language in the college, right?
Yeah,
When no one was interested.
yeah, my parents like, what?
I ask you.
Yes, yeah,
I just
please.
want to, what Pitmana said, his father didn't love him.
I
I
mean,
thought it is not loving or not showing the love. I mean, love is, of the dads like try to be.
It's I think, tough love.
That's love, but maybe they don't show it like the mom would show it.
Now I know he showed me, but at the time when he was showing, it was quite tough because actually he encouraged me to become a monk, and that's what the behind figure in my life. And also Bhante and me, we all agree, deeply penetrating the teachings of the Buddha is a quite tough type of target in life. So what he asked me to just go through it and penetrate it and study it, and that kind of love is quite tough.
It's always pushing him forward, you know. Yeah. He had a deep love, you know, but he was a little forceful, you know, guiding him and pushing him. Usually, a master would do it, you know, not the father. But
That's right.
in
That's
his
what
case,
I was telling.
in his case.
Usually masters are doing that part, but in my case, my dad.
You know, 2 in 1.
But
Yeah, 2 in 1.
though I say that he didn't love me, I truly know that he loved me.
Yeah.
Now I realize that his love is, I think, the perfect love for life.
Yes, would you like to share?
Sure, I just want to say he's not lazy. Truly, throughout life, you were always teaching a work ethic and by example too, and extremely helpful to others, neighbors, and just doing a lot. That's when I think of you, that's what I think of, someone who's always doing, whether it's creative work or helping somebody fix something or just your own endeavors. You're a creative person, and I think all of us in our family absorb that. And I remember asking when I left, when I was moving to California, when I was in my 20s, and I said, this will always stay with me. I said, I think you said something like, do you have any questions? And I said, how do you know to trust people? And you said, when they say they'll come through and they do. And that's been like,
Say again?
when they say they'll come through and then they do.
Okay.
That's how you know to trust people. So that's worked. I found out on both sides of it when it was true and when I didn't pay attention, and it was still true.
You're forgetting about all karate marks. Like,
Oh yeah, that's right. Don't get me started.
I used to practice with two before.
Oh gosh.
So you have 2 girls and 1 boy, and 3 girls.
One boy, 3 girls.
3 girls.
I think we must have did all right because we don't have a lot of complaints.
Not written anyway.
Or I don't hear them or something.
That's the other thing.
Ignorance is bliss.
Kema, would you like to share anything or yeah?
I was gonna say the same thing before Trust did, because he's always, even he took care of his mother, his uncle, his aunt. I mean, he's always doing for everybody and us. And he taught us a lot of lessons. He used to have us foraging for mushrooms and picking berries and,
Yeah, we have tasted that berry, berry. Yeah, the
none of
wild
us
berry.
do the elderberry. That's hard work.
Yeah.
He does it all on his own. And he just gives to everybody. I'm very glad he's my dad. You didn't know it, apparently.
Especially when I'm dead.
No.
He said that
We'll
he's
tell you
supposed to
when
wait till
you're
he's dead before they say
Good
good
thing.
night.
Yeah, but we have now changed it. Yeah, we have to say all the things we have to say before a person dies.
Yeah, that's right.
Exactly.
And he adopted Ron. I was good saying.
Oh, really? He was adopted son.
Ron lost his dad when he was 9. So my dad's been his dad.
Okay, anybody else?
Yeah, I think most of you have lost your dads. I think you yesterday was the
that's what I'm
anniversary,
gonna
right?
say. Yeah, so then I came here to do the 3-year anniversary and for the memorial service for my dad. So it's a kind of a combination of both your dads, kind of a. It's like want to be someone right in the village doing.
Also,
like a
your
lot
father
of-
also has some dreams for you.
Dreams like that, but also I think it's a cultural maybe. Our father figures like to be a tough, right?
Yeah.
But it's contrast different from my wife's, of dad. My father-in-law is, I think, never touch them. But my father is very strong. Always, if I do wrong thing, he gonna kind of a master, right?
He'll punish you.
Punish me, and then me and my brother, right? We do like crazy things, right? And then he always punish. But the funny thing is, like about my father is, when I came here for the higher studies, then I realized, that the how really love. Initially, we didn't feel it, right? They kept it, but hiding it. That's the tough love, like you mentioned, right? They have that really passionate love, but they don't show, like they didn't show, like how you feel, like they keep it. Right, only we have to talk through mother, right? When you want to do something, right?
You could tell
mother gonna translate, right? That's kind of a thing. But when I came here, and then always I'm talking to the father, right? Then I realized, always, like how how he's become open up, emotional, and then Bante Punna knows, right? How the emotional he is, like that kind of a thing happened. So it's contrasted different when I can talk about my father-in-law. He's like so kind, never hit anything, never say anything. That's completely different father figure.
Yeah. Maybe the mom is over there. Maybe she's a tough mom.
Tough, yeah. So it's the when you say about the father, right? It's really it's also that's their personality also, right? Involving, so the showing that. But ultimately, what I want to say is, they have that emotional support on you always, right? Keeping, but even though they're showing it, or when they're hiding it, but they have that
like a strong tree,
strong tree, like you mentioned.
Yeah. Thank you. So 3rd anniversary, right?
Yesterday.
About him today. Anyone else would like to, share about your fathers? Yeah.
I would think my father is the grounding force for me.
Mm-hmm.
But my mom, he was the guiding light.
Mm-hmm.
So even when my father is like a tree, my mom is the wind that goes through the branches.
Mm-hmm.
So that's how our family worked. My father has one rule, but then we know how to get it bent by through going to mom. So it's always, sometimes it's tough love, but for good reasons.
Yeah, exactly.
When we are little, we don't, or when we are young, we don't realize it's because for our own good.
Yeah. Yeah, sometimes they show their love in a very different way. Sometimes when you don't see them, right? Yeah. I remember one time you were telling us a story about when he picked you from the school when you're coming back from the car. Can you share it with us?
Yeah. I went to school in the city, and my father worked in a different place. So every day he comes to pick me up from school, and I used to fall asleep while going home. So he would drive with one hand and holding me. I'm sitting in the back seat, so he's holding me without falling down. Because we didn't have any seat belts in those cars. So I don't know how he drove.
He stretched one hand and holding you behind and holding you, they can sleep, and then driving with one hand. That's the true love. Exactly. So I wonder, how did you know that?
Because then I would feel that when I fall forward,
and he will
hold me.
He will hold you. Yeah. Your father lived to 107.
Wow.
Yes, well-known person, and I was so fortunate to meet him, and very healthy until the very until all the way through. Yeah.
I still remember the day before he passed away. We were all there, like not all siblings, but we were just saying, "Oh, you loved her better, and you loved him more." Then he said, "No, I loved everyone equally." That's what he said. So this was the day before he passed.
Wow.
He was tough. I mean, he was a school principal, so probably he had that quality in him. He was tough, but never pushed about education. It was mom who said do this, do that. But he was tough on manners and ethics from the young age. So I think even now I really thank him for that, because the way I have to work with different people when I go to different countries, I think those things that the way he trained us really helped me. And to be accepted, to be respected by others, I think it's those
Manners
and
and
manners that he really rooted in us really helped. And then up to now, I really thank him for that.
Anyone else would like to share your thoughts of your fathers?
My father gave me my love of entertainment, of
Oh.
music and TV and movies and stuff like that. And he showed me that just because he was a male figure, that he actually could show emotion and still
Very good.
keep his masculinity by still showing that men cry too.
That's very
Yeah.
important.
I was afraid of him. Not that he never raised a word, he never raised his voice, he never raised a hand to me or anything like that. But if I'd done something wrong, and because my parents were divorced, all it took was my mom to say, "I'm going to call your father," and that was it. But like I said, he never raised a hand to me. He never even swore, never even had a cuss word or anything like that with me. But I still knew to respect him. Yeah. So.
Okay. Anyone else? Yes.
It's Father's Day.
Yeah, coming. Father's Day is next week. But today our talk is in honor of the Father's Day.
Yeah, my father, he was like adventurous kind of all over the place. He and my mother socializing a lot, and I was so different from him. I was sure I was switched at birth. But they were very interesting people. But you got the genetic tests nowadays, the 23andMe, and what's the other one? The Ancestry.com. And I find that I'm related to full siblings with all of them. So they were my parents. When I was small, I was so different from them. I thought they were all me.
Okay. Yeah.
But now, when I think about it now, I'm very much like them. Yeah.
And in the
So I
yes,
can't
okay.
think of it.
Okay. So you grew up in Australia, right?
No, in Sri Lanka and Brunei,
Brunei.
Southeast Asia. But migrated to Australia after I was married.
Okay. Okay, so remembering our fathers, and then I think we can do a gratitude meditation today, especially in honor of our parents and and everyone else, and think about the decision that they made. Some decision they made really impacted our life, and so whatever joy, whatever success that we experience today is a result of the dedication, sacrifices that they have done, and sometimes we are not aware of, right? Yeah. So we can do a gratitude meditation. Maybe we'll stand up for a while to give some. How wonderful to see. Wonderful. Okay, let us take a moment again to stand firmly and feel the feet and bring our whole attention to this present moment. and in grateful memories of our beloved fathers and also mothers, let us do this meditation. Standing firmly with our feet and being grateful how our feet is carrying all the weight of the body and balancing the whole weight of the body. Although our body is quite heavy, these small feet can carry the whole weight and balance it. It's amazing how these small feet can hold us, can help us to move, can do all these things, carrying and managing this heavy body. Let us feel grateful to our feet, to our ankle, to all the bones and all the muscles, ligaments there, for helping us to carry the weight, to move the weight of the body. And with this awareness of the body, let us also feel grateful to our parents who gave us this body. Our bone structure and many of the features of our body is given to us by our parents. And it is they who actually gave these features to all of us. Let us feel grateful that we were able to be born as a human being thanks to our parents. They opened the door for us to come to the human realm. So feel thankful for having this human body and this human birth. And be thankful to our parents for providing that opportunity for us. Now with this awareness of the body, we will now slowly sit down for seated meditation. Just your body, we will do a meditation of gratitude meditation today. Keep your upper body upright. Keep your chin somewhat parallel with the earth. Rest your palms. Let us listen to the sound of the bell and help ourselves to gather our attention to this present moment. Continue to feel your body. Feel wherever your body parts are touching each other. Feel wherever you have some touch sensation in your body. Some pressed muscles, some contact. Just feel them and stay in your body throughout the bell. With this awareness of the body, let us deeply feel grateful to this body. We have gifted with this body we have these sensory organs that help us to experience the world. Our eyes, our ear, our nose, our tongue, and our skin, the 5 senses, together with the mind, can help us to experience the world. And as long as they are functioning well, we can experience the world. We can also use these sensory organs to improve our wisdom if you have the proper guidance. But let us feel grateful. I'm gifted with these senses to experience the world. And feel grateful to all other organs in the body which are working for us even right now. Our lungs, our heart, the whole digestive system, even digesting what we ate, even right now, helping us to absorb the nutrition to prolong our life. And our kidneys and whole urinary system, helping us even right now. Deeply feel grateful to all these organs in the whole body. I'm deeply grateful. I'm deeply thankful. Let us now expand this gratitude to our beloved parents, to our father and mother, who are instrumental in giving this body and also feeding us to grow this body and safeguarding us to keep this body undamaged since we are little children. Our parents have done such a great sacrifice to keep us safe. We could have easily lost some parts of our body. We can easily get into troubles and accidents without their care and attention, 24-hour attention. Today we are confidently living in this world and doing so many things using our body, thanks to our parents' uninterrupted care and attention given to us. Deeply feel grateful for the care, the nurturing that we receive from our parents. I'm deeply grateful. I'm deeply thankful. Let us expand this gratitude to all people who supported the sustenance of our life, all people living all over the place who encouraged us, who taught us, who guided us, who work hard to provide anything that we need. Was deeply grateful for all people, even to someone who has done a little thing, little help for us. Anyone who helped us to sustain this life, anyone who helped us to maintain our health, maintain our peace. Let us deeply feel grateful to all of these people. I'm deeply grateful. I'm deeply thankful. Let us now expand this gratitude to all other creatures and living beings who have one way or other have contributed and supported our life. All the other animals and living beings, and even these trees and plants around us. All these living beings are helping us continuously. Every food that we eat is produced by so many living beings. Every breath we are taking in is a gift of the nature, the trees. Let us deeply feel grateful for all the continuous support we receive from animals, the nature, the environment. Deeply feel grateful. I'm deeply grateful. I'm deeply thankful. I'm deeply grateful. I'm deeply thankful. Deeply grateful. Deeply thankful. Let us stay with our breath for a few minutes. With every breath, feel grateful. Deeply feel grateful to the rest of the world. The breath that we are taking in may be coming from all different places. They may have touched the mountains, the forests, the oceans, the glaciers. This breath could be from anywhere. With deep gratitude, feeling grateful for every breath. We will stay with our breath for a few minutes. Gently come out of the meditation. Gently place your palms against your chest. Take a moment to feel grateful for this opportunity to have reflective time and peaceful meditation. Feeling grateful to all the great teachers, enlightened masters in the past. Feeling grateful to anyone and or anything that supported our meditation. Let us say sadhu 3 times. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Okay, we have passed the time actually. So we can have a short break. You can go down and have some tea or some drink, and then come back. And those who are in 8 precepts program, they can come back and Bhante Kamala City. We'll start another session discussing an important sutra, and then others can go and have some tea, and you can decide to come back for the talk or go back home. Yes. So let's take a short break. Thank you, Bhante. අපට අතන ගන්නකොට ඒකක් බීලා ඒකක් බීලා මම ඉන්නන්නේ අපි මොහොතේ අපි සෙන්සුරාද මේ වෙසෝජිනේ ආඳුනගේ භාවනාව පටන් ගන්නවා ඒකද පටන් ගන්න අපි සෙන්සුරාද ඉන්නේ අපි යන ප්ලෑන් කරන අහින හිත කලින් එනවානේ
සෙනසුරාදා
අපි සෙන්සුරාදා තමයි
යන්නේ සෙනසුරාදා සිකුරාදා ඇවිල්ලා මම
ඔව් නැත්නම් අපි හේත් මේ ගිහලා මම උපස්ථාන කරන්න ගිහින්